Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is a Hallyujuku Talks segment. This is where me, myself, King Kaz, and the good old man Petey Rave take a little bit of a moment, do a shorter version of what we normally do, and we just talk about one thing and one thing specifically. So a couple of weeks ago, we were saying we were going to start getting back into the drama talks. So this is a drama talk, Hallyujuku Talks, and we started with a show called The Entertainer, which you can catch over on Drama Fever. So Petey picked this one for us to start with. This is the show The Entertainer. It is to give a kind of a short synopsis, it's this show about the K-pop industry in a way. It stars this kind of high maintenance, high kind of up there producer
hotshot entertainment industry.
Hotshot entertainment industry producer who is leaving his company to bridge out on his own. And of course, it's a K-drama, so there has to be the drama. As he decides to branch out on his own, he thinks he's going to take the main act with him to start off his fledgling new company. But as the drama
confusingly called Jackson.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, did Jackson?
That I will say, all right, you know what, we'll start right there. That instantly threw me off because of how much you talk about Jackson from GOT7 that I was like, wait, is somebody in the group? Wait, what? What's good? Oh, the group is Jackson. Okay. All right. I got it. Okay. Everybody sit down. I figured it out.
If there's anything dumber than real K-pop names, it's fake K-pop names of K-dramas.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I never stopped to count. How many members does Jackson have?
I think it's like 5. I think.
So, is it the Jackson 5?
Maybe. Because there's a lot of like references on this show of like things. Which would be, I just realized that myself too. It's like, what? Because there's a lot of like musical references to just things in general, where they just name drop things for the sake of name dropping things.
So I figure we'll keep it short, we'll keep it sweet. We'll really kind of talk about the meat and potatoes of the show instead of maybe lingering on about it. So I think the first thing I want to bring up is
and we're talking about just like the first few episodes. This is kind of like a first impression. So we might revisit.
It's still spoilers if you haven't watched it at all. So definitely, if you haven't, pause this. Go check it out. We're going to kind of give our beginning synopsis about the first 5 or 6 episodes, and then maybe we'll come back with a wrap-up of what we finally thought. So going into these first few episodes, you have a lot of setup. And one of the things I want to talk about is, I think, just the setup, the world building of this show is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the elements of this pull from the K-pop industry and what we know as K-pop fans, right? Because we don't necessarily work in the industry, right? So we don't have that view on it, but reading blogs, doing all those things that we do as podcasters and kind of news bringers of the K-pop industry, I will say there's a lot of good bits that seem to fit very well.
Yeah, it fits. It seems to fit the narrative that we think of like K-pop and like things like that, and like the big agency, the construct of like all the the trainees and whatnot, the hot shot PDs, the back and forth, the hierarchies and things like that, the shenanigans, as it were. The first episode, like we get to see like we get to see Sajegi in action, like the freaking him the hacking,
the
elaborate scheme to hack everyone's cell phone.
he did a lot of hacking the system in these
Yes.
first couple of episodes with the literal hacking that he did and like kind of the side hacking and the social hacking, like when they go to do the music show and he's like you're supposed to be sick, just lay there and pretend to be sick, like um,
Yeah.
so a lot of that I think is really good. So the world building, the world around it, I actually enjoy.
Yeah, and they did a pretty good job
Um,
of doing that and like setting the characters pretty
Yeah.
good too. Yeah.
I think so yeah, like character building as well, which is definitely a part of the world building. I on these first few points they pull me in. The characters are interesting. They have kind of enough background that it's initially fun, especially going into these first few episodes. And it's interesting, right? It's interesting enough. And then I think we talk about the thing that rears its ugly head in any K drama, which is the drama itself, right? Because that's your kind of your crutch. You have to have that. It's a K drama. The drama itself, I think, very very much is such a second thought, right? To this beautiful world that you kind of painted, and then you have to, oh yeah, we have to slap this other thing on.
Yeah.
And it feels so slapped on in so many places.
Yeah.
That I don't know. Like there's the initial thing for kind of the secondary main character, who is this singer, that is very very related. I was going to say kind of related to the main character, but very hardcore, deep rooted, like interconnected. Almost like all they needed to be is blood related at some point.
Yes.
About how connected these two characters are. So
It all seems so elaborate.
yeah. So he has this deep-seated drama of being accused of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And in those first few episodes, this plays out, and it becomes such like it becomes so weird, right? Like I'm okay with the framing part of it, right? But then when you add that extra layer of like, oh, but it was somebody else. And then, oh, it was this person. Like, I think it went too many layers deep. It Inception. So
yeah, it's like there's such an issue of like in the world of K dramas, especially on like network television, where they feel they have to add the K drama. Like I don't know if I've said it on the show before, but it almost feels like the standard K drama is like Taco Bell, where you have the same three ingredients. You have to have the same three ingredients, just in varying forms. So they have to have it's either a romantic melodrama with some comedic relief, or it's a romantic comedy with melodrama on top, or it's a comedy with shoehorned in romance and some melodrama. And what happens a lot of times, especially because this is what happens when executive meddling is really allowed at all times. Because it's like, okay, yeah, you have a really interesting idea where this hotshot producer guy has to gets kind of screwed over and has to start from nothing. Just his name. And he's so used to like pulling all these deals and having all these connections and just to be able to pull out his business card. But he has to find this new talent and start from scratch. And if you just did that show, it would have been really cool. It could have been it could have been comedic. They could have even just had the romance that I assume they're building between him and Hyeri's character. Like, throw that in there. Yeah, the romance. Put that in there. That's so cool. But then, like, it feels like every show no matter what the premise, has to have this deep, multi-layered conspiracy involving somebody's death and some secret and something having to be proven, and like, proving someone's innocence and somebody else's guilt, and people that are behind the scenes like, oh my god, they're going to discover my thing, let's manipulate things so that they can't discover my thing. And it's like all these things that they have to shoehorn into every show, or like almost every show. Like, especially if it could just be a simple show. Like, another example would be Modern Farmer, the show that I watched with the kid from, I think, FT Island, which was a kind of a silly, funny show that had a lot of really cool things. But then there had to be like this whole like thing with the chick, and like the having the hostess job, and like being like whored out by her agency, and like having this history thing, and like everything. It feels like everything, all these things are so shoehorned in, and it feels like they were like, oh, we have this show and we have this and the other thing. And it's like, okay, cool. We really like your show. Let's get it cast. Let's get it written. And then they get to the part where it's like, all right, we're going to start shooting soon. It's like, all right, just one thing. Just one thing. Just some, we're excited for you guys to get rolling on your, on your show and get started with your scripts and whatnot. Just one more thing. Let's go ahead and we need to start adding those things, this, that, and the other thing. We need to. You guys have a plot, like a dramatic plot, like where there's a dark secret, like. You're gonna need to add that. I mean, it's a drama, so you gotta have the dark secret. It's like, okay, okay, boss. It's like,
Right.
and it's like it becomes that, and everything gets added last minute, and and at the end, it just kind of becomes it bogs down what could have been a simple premise of a show. Into stuff that doesn't feel like it fits, and doesn't feel like it could
Yeah.
like it's actualized properly. At least, I mean, again, it's early, but it's something that we've seen before. And
Yeah, we both haven't finished it yet, so I will say sometimes with some of these Korean dramas, they do sometimes have a good spin that you at the end end up enjoying kind of the ride you went on. But I will definitely agree that you had me you had me at enough, and then you added too much. Like.
yeah.
It's those moments where like you're making, or somebody else is making something for you. You're like, all right, add a little bit of this, add a little bit of mayo, and they just fucking pour it on you. You're like, oh no, like, you're like way too much because like as you're saying that, like it kind of dawned on me that I think I would have loved this show a little bit more. And you get a premise of this in the first few episodes of, I would have loved a little bit more if maybe we started with a little bit longer ago with seeing how smarmy and catty this guy was as a director, as a producer in the industry. And then kind of in those midway episodes is him leaving the company, starting over again, and then having to have this redemption in a sense of not being an asshole anymore, and really working and really creating connections, and then having this real connection with these kids that he bands together, and making him a better person and making them a better person as he goes along. Like, if you just did that, like just that as everything, and the drama being him, like, because it initially seems like it wants to focus on him and focus on him becoming a better person, but that turn happens so quickly that it gets glossed over by all this other shit you're trying to throw at me.
Yeah.
And maybe down the line I'll appreciate it, but right now I just feel like you're just throwing so many things at me that this good story is getting drowned out.
Yeah, it's overcomplicates a nice simple plot where it's like,
Definitely.
and it's what was my other thought? It's you could have had a simple premise, and it's a lot of the and what I think it is that because this is a show with Ji-sung, this is a vehicle for a big actor like Ji-sung and an upcoming actor like Hyeri. And I think it comes down to how the industry works. Like, again, complaining like, hey, like we're like judging how another industry works, and it's like this is this show. You remember that this show is responsible for the success of two nights of their entire TV week. Like, that's the only dramatic show that is on those two nights, and two of them of the entire week for the next like however weeks this is on, like 12 weeks. And if this fails, they have to reset, or they have to cut their losses, or wait until the show is over and then try to succeed with another show. If this show was just one of several shows in a lineup on a certain night, or at least one or two shows on a lineup on a certain night, like, I don't know how like we do, there wouldn't be so much pressure to make it be everything to everyone. Like, it has to be a dramatic show for people who like drama. It has to be it has to have comedy for the people who like comedy. It has to have this, that, and the other thing, and it's like it regresses everything to this mean. I joked on Twitter about the regression to the mean. It kind of pushes everything into this status quo where it just kind of like it's another show of the sameness. It's the same generic blend. It's like Producer, which I think we talked about in the show. At least I talked about it in the show.
Yeah, you did.
I enjoyed that show, but it started as a really interesting premise. It started as The Office or Parks and Rec for the Korean variety industry. Like, if it was just Parks and Rec for KBS, KBS Parks and Rec. If it was just that premise, it's a borrowed premise, but it would have been a really good show. Just that, if it was funny, quirky, had a little bit of real romance, which is okay because The Office had Jim and Pam.
I myself don't necessarily like 30 Rock and Parks and Rec, but I understand why those shows work, and I get why those shows work, but it's just not necessarily for me, and I'm definitely okay with that. And I agree with you. I wish the producer and the entertainer in that fact were kind of those. Like, I wish the producer was that. I wish it was just like kind of this melodrama, not necessarily not a K-drama, but
like this comedic show that was that format and could have just been that. It could have been, but then it just like they replaced. Then they literally what they did is, like, if anyone remembers, they put out 2 episodes. They're like, replace the director and start it over again, because of course they record all the episodes that week. And it's like they didn't start over again, but they like adjusted. It's like, it's gonna be a little bit more this way, and then it just kind of became the typical K drama. Like, it's just, and there were confessional interviews, but like at like the end, like the only thing that stayed was like at the end, the documentarian might be interviewing the person, but like, and maybe some shaky cam, but that's about it. I mean, it was a good show, but they lost that commitment to a fresh idea because of how the industry works in reaction to trying to please everybody. Like, and everything gets pushed into this middle ground, mushy middle status quo. If that makes sense.
So, one of the last few things I want to talk about with this is 2 things. what do you think of the not the not the original soundtrack stuff, but the music in the show itself? Because it's a show about music, it's a show about the entertainment industry. So there's a couple of things in those first few episodes that kind of give you this worldview of the music in that world. I also, for myself, I kind of enjoy some of the sounds that are happening in the show. Like, I actually like most of it.
I think there's some interesting ideas. I think that the Dantara band, that song that they keep playing, is believably bland. It's super. It is. I will say this as I will praise it this way. Yes, it's to me, it's kind of bland. It's kind of okay. You guys are pretty good, but that's the perfect kind of music for a band that would get picked up and would catch people's attention and would be like pushed into like it sounds like it's like that busker sound. It's that pleasant coffee shop band sound, and that's legitimate. It's accurate.
Yeah.
So you have to give that. Don't they weren't gonna like. It's not like if they were like if they sounded like metric or like they sounded like fucking I don't know like what's like Arcade Fire or something like that or something out of there, you wouldn't believe that would be a band that would succeed like on the path that they're going in Korea. Like just knowing what the music tastes, knowing what we know about the general public music tastes, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't make sense. So the fact that it's a pretty bland little like jangly coffee shop band sound makes sense. It's accurate.
Yeah. All right. So that's kind of been our initial thoughts on this show, The Entertainer. I think we're going to finish it up, and then we're going to come back with kind of a part 2 to this, just to talk about our final thoughts. We'll get through those last few episodes. I think I left off on like maybe 7 or 8, and I know PD left off on around 6. So we'll do that. Finish this one off.
I just finished 7, so it's like So
pretty
we're
good,
more or
pretty
less around the same place.
Yeah. So, you know what I'll say? One of the other good parts of this show, surprisingly, is just the characters overall. The characters are so good. Like I think I said that when we started this, but the characters are actually fun.
Yeah,
like
fun.
I just holy shit, man! Like
even the precocious kid.
the kid and his dad, like as annoying as I thought they were going to be, and they're annoying. Because they're always like so smiley and happy and like upbeat. Like
he's such a sitcom kid.
It's such a good character kind of dynamic of this dad and this kid. So definitely something worth checking out. And if you haven't checked it out and kind of listening to this, you're kind of thinking about it, go do it. Go check out The Entertainer. It's on Drama Fever. It'll be in the link below for you to go check it out. Because we want you to come back, listen to our final thoughts on it, and maybe give us some of your thoughts as well. And keep on listening, and listen to a normal Hallyujuku episode, which we're also going to do later on. So do that, listen, and follow, and go watch The Entertainer.
Yeah. Peace.